Welcome to another episode of Passt X Balestier Khalsa. It's with me today, Kelvin. My best friend and my partner, Ras, is celebrating his anniversary today, so he's not here with us. So really excited to be in the studio today. Didn't manage to come through last week, but really excited to be here. Before I start, I just want to let the fans know, this Saturday we have Balestier Khalsa playing at home at Toa Payoh Stadium at 5:30 p.m. against the Jaguars, Tanjung Pagar United. So I know over the weekend things were tough. It was a tough result to take, but nevertheless, we are happy to always support our team. It is a process, and we will continue supporting the Tigers. So Hala Tigers. So this Saturday again, 5:30. Hope to see all the fans there. And so moving on from physical sports, right now we're going to talk about eSports. So I'm being joined here by three very special people from the Balestier Khalsa eSports team. I have Yasser, I have Phirkhan, and I also have Syakir. Guys, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Maybe we can, yes. So when I speak about esports, everybody is like, not many people. I know younger generation definitely know about esports, but older generation listening to this, all the uncles, they're like, what is this esports? Why there's sports and esports? Maybe we start with Yasser. Maybe you can just share a quick intro of yourself, and we can go around.
Yep. So my name is Yasser. I'm actually I'm the founding member of FTRD. So FTRD is basically an esports management company, and we work very closely with Balestier, and now technically all of the FIFA players under FTRD are playing for Balestier at the moment. So my experience in esports is pretty new. I've probably been around esports at most maybe about 5-6 years max. It's funny though, but I have been an avid gamer for all of my life. I've played FIFA since the first FIFA.
FIFA 98?
No. Even before that, FIFA 94.
Wait, there was 94?
Yeah, when the graphics was just like, it was in it's like in a slanted kind of view. Sega. And it was just like really small men.
Did you have to blow the cartridge like? was that the one?
No, back in the day it wasn't that. Back in the day it was a CD. Still was
okay.
So yeah, my history with FIFA is actually very long. I've been playing FIFA way longer than most. I think probably since Shaq was born actually. Yeah, but so the thing is funny though, when you talked about acceptance of esports in general. Right. So the funny thing is that when I was growing up, right, when I used to play FIFA, on the screen, my father would always come up to me and say, "Hey Yasser, why you play FIFA on TV? Go outside and play. Go outside and play football lah. Why you play football on TV, right?" But then it got to a point where sometimes I started playing, and then my father would be like, "Hey, are you watching real football? Are you playing game?" I think there is some sort of a blurring effect between real football and now esports, because we have come to an age where gaming in general, right? It's a very acceptable form.
Everyone is gaming now.
Yes, it's a form, acceptable form of a career progression for some people. It's a really great way to make money if you're in the right form of esports. And you're starting to see the world of football really joining forces into the virtual world. Right. So for example, like this jersey I'm wearing right now, right?
Yes, very anyone who can't see this is actually a Man City jersey. He's sitting down right in front of me. Yeah. But today it's all about Balestier.
So I'm not a Man City fan, but I bought this jersey simply because it's a Man City esports jersey. So
it looks really nice though.
Yeah, so you're starting to see teams like Manchester City, Wolves, PSG, even regional team like Kawasaki Frontale in Japan are starting to actually have esports teams or their own FIFA teams to actually compete. So I think it's definitely the wave of the future. I think one interesting story I want to share with everyone, like Diego Jota,
okay,
right, the Liverpool player,
yeah.
Right? He is actually a pro FIFA player also. He's actually very good at playing FIFA. One of the matches, I can't remember which match, but against Southampton, right? So just before he was actually going to the Southampton match, he was actually competing in a pro tournament, and he had to stop halfway
to go and play the game.
Yeah, he actually went and messaged the guy and said, "I'm so sorry, I have to go and play. I got to go play real football."
And this is Diego Jota.
And he has his own esports team, and he's really that good. I think one of the biggest myths, right, is that FIFA players actually a lot of very good FIFA players are actually all have very good football backgrounds. We have seen, even in Singapore, there are players like Joel Chu, who plays for Young. He's a fantastic FIFA player, so I used to manage him also. So I think a lot of the boys here also have experiences, playing like SS. One of the Balestier players right now was a youth player for Balestier.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because of the tactical knowledge and stuff like that.
So I think that's one thing to note also. I think it's very important for people to know that the worlds are not that apart. Esports and actual game. When it comes to FIFA, it's actually very, very much within the same space. So yeah, man, hopefully after this podcast, there's going to be a lot more information. And you're going to learn a lot more from these guys. So people like Phirkhan and Shak, who are actually, I'm just the guy managing the...
Oh, he's too humble.
No. I'm just here pushing paper, trying to get deals happen. That's me.
That's good.
But I think this podcast should be more about them because they've achieved a lot, in a very short time that they've done.
Yes. Speaking about players, maybe we go with Syakir. Syakir, how are you doing today?
Good. Everything so far.
Maybe you want to shift to the left so everybody can see who you are, man. This guy is actually going to be a legend soon.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So my name is Syakir. I'm a professional esports player for Balestier Khalsa, and I also play for the Singapore national team. So I've been a pro FIFA player for about 5 years, I would say, maybe slightly more than that. Yeah, so I started out just playing. I've been playing FIFA since when I was a kid, playing with my relatives, playing with my friends. So it just started out as a hobby for me at first, but then eventually most of my friends told me like, hey, maybe you are pretty good at this. Maybe you should try to join some competitions, join some tournaments. And at that point, I thought to myself, okay, maybe since I'm good at this, I'll just try to join one of the tournaments. Then I tried. I went to one of the tournaments my friend recommended to me, and I eventually did quite well in that first tournament that I joined.
What tournament was it?
It was a ITE Game Fest. Is it Game?
Campus.
Yeah, Campus Fest. Yeah, it was just like this community FIFA tournament. Apparently, at that point of time, all the good FIFA players were there also. So it was my first time playing, and I was pretty nervous at that point of time. Then I just do this for fun. Then in the end, at the first tournament, I got 4th, which was quite a big achievement for me. Even though I didn't get any prize money at that point of time.
How old were you?
This was about, I think when I was 17 years old. Wow. That was about 8 years ago. Yeah, 8 years ago. And during that point of time, I met my cousin, which is also in my FTRD, in my Balestier team, also Ash. So he was also playing FIFA at that point of time, and I didn't know that he was actually pretty good FIFA player, and he was one of the more recognized FIFA players back then. So he introduced me to this FIFA community in Singapore, and then he told me to join more tournaments. Then then from then I slowly joined more and more tournaments and got better. I improved myself a lot, and I played with him also, and he helped me a lot during that point of time. And I just got into more and more tournaments, getting better achievements, and that's where I think I met Phirkhan, and also I think eventually Yasser. So they brought me into the real esports industry part of this, where I didn't know it was even there.
You were just like that. I want to play game, man. Give me the game. I want to play.
Yeah, I was just playing FIFA for fun at that point of time. Then suddenly, you can make money of it. I didn't know that it was possible. So yeah, then they told me esports, it was actually a growing industry at one of time. So then they told me that I can be part of this esports team, and eventually we joined I joined the first esports team that I joined was OOE, which was quite a big team in Singapore.
What is that? OOE?
Yeah, it's all the Order of Elites.
Order of the
yeah,
Elites.
Order of
It was
Elites.
founded by me.
Order of Elites.
Yeah.
Order of the Elites.
Wow,
That's the
stressful
name.
name. Stressful name, man. Like you join that team, you're like, wait, am I the elite or am I the Order of the Elite? You got to be the
It was quite a big step up for me. And at that point of time, I think there were quite a few good players from Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia also at that point of time. So it was quite a big thing for me. And when I first joined, Phirkhan taught me a lot. He taught me how the esports industry all works. And eventually, I got into more tournaments, and we started winning more and more as a team. Also, most of the players were also winning quite big tournaments at Malaysia, KL, Singapore. Then it was quite a big. It was like an eye opener for me at that point of time.
Interesting. You went from just playing games for fun, and then you met the right people, and then you just kept going and going, which is really incredible journey, man.
You didn't know it can happen.
Yeah, amazing, man, amazing. We'll get back to you again, Syakir, but introducing Coach Phirkhan. Coach Phirkhan, a little intro of yourself, please.
Hey, hi, I'm Phirkhan. So I've been in the esports industry almost 20 years, since 2004. So I think
That was PlayStation 1.
no, that was Sega. Yeah,
Game station.
Sega. I think it was the cartridge.
Cartridge
It was
thingy. Oh my god, I remember that.
32-bit or 16-bit. Yeah. Yep. So my first FIFA was actually 1994. I'm yes, no. But I started playing when I was 4 years old.
You understood the game, or you just hantam only?
Maybe because my elder brother, he had a console, then he was playing that game. I'm like, as a kid, you are curious, you want to try. Yep. So for me, myself being in the industry for almost 20 years, I've seen everything. I've experienced everything, be it as a player, as a coach, as an event organizer.
For esports tournament?
Yep.
Wow.
So I started off, so I was a professional esports player for about 5 to 6 years.
Right.
So my first tournament actually came when I was about 14 years old. Yep, if I can recall correct. This was back in 2004.
What was the prize money, if I may ask?
At that point of time, esports wasn't
Not
really
that
that huge. Yeah,
Now the prize money is crazy, yeah?
Yep, so at that point of time, I think the first prize, my first ever competition which I joined and I won, I think that was just a huge...
Wait, you were 14 years old,
Yeah.
first competition,
Yep.
and you won it?
Yep.
Bro,
I know.
Yeah.
were you in order of the elites as well?
That's why he founded Order.
Oh, he's the
It was founded by him because of himself.
He's the elite.
Yeah,
He's the elite one.
so I won that first event, but I would say my journey in the esports industry, I think it was more like fated.
Right.
Like I think along the way, like before that competition, I actually met a professional FIFA player online.
All right.
He's actually from Malaysia, and he was actually one of my mentors.
Okay.
So I actually played with him online, and I shared with him, hey, look, I'm joining a competition, which is supposed to be the next day. So I asked him for tips and advice, and his advice worked. And when I won the event, I actually came back home. I told him, hey, look, I won this event, and I thanked him.
Yeah.
So from there, he actually started to show me more about the esports world. At that point of time, there was this huge competition. It was called the World Cyber Games.
Okay.
Yep. So the World Cyber Games is basically the Olympics of esports back then.
Okay.
So what they do is they have qualifiers in each country. So the champion or the top 3 of each country will go for the Olympics, which is the international event, and compete to be the world champion. So he slowly, started exposing me into the world of esports. And along the way, as the years passed, in 2006 and 2007. In 2007, I was actually contracted to a US team.
Okay.
So the 10 of us, I think there were 10 Singaporeans. So basically, I think we were the first 10 professionals signed to an overseas team.
But you guys were staying in Singapore?
We
Just
were,
like virtual?
we were actually based in LA for quite a bit, yeah. Yep. So we actually lived that high life.
Yeah, LA, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
16, right? 16, right?
16 years old, bro.
That's 16 or 17
10.
years old. Yep.
Yeah,
Bro,
whenever he tells
you know
story,
what I was doing
I
16, 17 years old? I was still playing under the block.
I've heard this story many times.
Crazy.
And I was actually the youngest
Yeah.
gamer in the world back then, youngest professional gamer in the
Oh
world back
my
then. Yeah.
God.
So it was, and we are getting full-time salary.
Okay. US dollars?
In US dollars, I think we were getting paid about 5,000 USD. Yep.
Why did I study?
I mean, you could imagine at the age of 16 getting that amount of money, and we're like, what should I do
Yeah,
with
what should I
this
do?
money?
Yeah, true.
But to be honest, we didn't have much time to spend all those money
Because you were
because
playing.
I think because we were busy practicing, and I think this one I can elaborate more as the show goes on.
Yeah.
So after that, my career, I decided to stop because national service.
Okay, yeah. You can't play
Yep.
for SAFSA, you see.
Came, and then
No young lion.
No young lions.
so obviously it was a bit hard for me, there were struggles in terms of accepting the fact that I had to stop. So what's next was after NS, I actually worked at EA for for a bit as a game tester.
eSports.
Yeah, EA Singapore.
Oh, EA Singapore.
Yeah. So just for everyone's knowledge, being a game tester is not an easy job. People think it's.
I was just about to say that's an awesome job, but then
It's not. Yeah. I mean, imagine working office hour playing the same game from Monday to Friday for 8 hours a day, and it's the same game for like 3 months. You will get sick of it.
Okay, I actually have a question for you guys after that, like we will elaborate on that again.
So after that, I left EA, so I had to look for a full-time job because I had to support my family at home as well.
100%.
But I still got involved with the gaming industry, so the fact that, I was a player, and then I learned about, how games are being built. So the next step for me was, find out how events are being run.
Okay.
So I was lucky as well, like in between, I had connections, because of all these networking things we do throughout my career as a player. We get to meet different people in the industry. So because of my experience as a player, there were a few organisers in Singapore, who wanted my help and asked me, hey, you want to help run a FIFA community event in Singapore? And at that point of time, I had no clue on how to run an event, but I felt, that the community isn't that huge. So I should do something. I figured that I should, get more talent out in Singapore.
Right.
Because not only in FIFA, in other games, other esports games like Counter-Strike or
League of Legends,
Warcraft, League of Legends. I mean, back then the old school games were StarCraft, Warcraft. There are many talented
people like, hey, play Dota.
yeah. So there are talents in Singapore.
Right, that's right.
So I started doing events, and then a few of the people whom I met in the States, who run the event back then, they knew that I started running events. So EA, the FIFA Global Series Team, one of the agency actually hired me to actually help out with their FIFA Global Series events.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So as much as I can't compete now, as you get older, your reaction is bad. But it's definitely an eye-opener, doing
the business side of things, and now you're exposed to different things.
It's actually very stressful. There are things where players don't really see on what's going on. Some players like complain, why is there a delay? Why do they have to wait for so long? Why are there so little consoles? So they don't see the process of
going into it and the planning and stuff.
So with that knowledge also, I felt that I had all this knowledge. And then the next thing that I decided to was to open my own team, which was Order of the Elites.
Okay, we're getting to the fun part now.
So in the Order of the Elites, at that point of time, after I started that community event, there were actually quite a few talented players.
Right. Like Syakir.
Syakir came slightly after.
Oh, okay.
So I actually got his cousin, Ash, who is currently in Balestier also.
Bro, your whole family playing. Just now you were saying that all my cousins I was playing with, these are all pro gamers. One of them. Okay.
Yeah, so we started off with four players. So I actually, when I was back in a professional team back then in Singapore, it was called Team Titans. Like I said, I was really blessed. I had amazing mentors. They actually taught me, how to really run a team. How should a team stand out. So the main thing for me when I form OE is to stand out, make sure people recognize us. But how are we going to do this?
Right.
So the prominent thing about OE is actually our team color.
Okay.
So our jacket is actually bright red.
Okay.
Why
is it this red or is this?
It's actually slightly brighter.
Yep. Oh wow.
So why bright red? Because I've always believed it can be very. No. First of all, red.
What color? The Chinese.
Red represents blood because we were very close. Like we know each other so well. We get along very well. So basically the team bonding is there.
Okay.
Why red? Because the color stands out. So imagine going to a tournament area. It's very intimidating to see a bunch of guys in red color hoodies walking into the shopping mall.
Yeah.
You will get all that attention, all that stares, and
the eyes
and that is what I want. And I want my players, to have that feeling so that they can adapt to it. Because sometimes as a player, you can feel the pressure when people are looking at you. So we actually did very well. I think we were hated. We were one of the most hated team in Malaysia. Like you know the Singapore-Malaysia rivalry. It's the same when it comes to esports. So when we went to Malaysia, we got all the trash talking, screaming and shouting, and it's the same when the Malaysian players came over to Singapore. We will do the same. So it was fun times. Then Syakir came into the picture halfway, and we started to develop him as a player. And then that is where halfway during my OOE stint, I actually met Yas. At that point of time, Yas wasn't really involved in esports, but he wanted to do something and know more about esports. So that was where I actually guide him. He actually helped out a little bit with OOE. And then I got too busy with my personal career, with my work, that I couldn't run OOE anymore. And that was where Yas took over. And I decided to form FTRD, and here we are now.
Wow.
And also to add on, like gaming has grown so much over the years. And I would say the main reason why is because technology is growing. So back then when I was competing, there wasn't such thing as YouTube. There wasn't such thing as
Twitch. Twitch was there.
You can't stream. So even I was talking to my ex-teammates, like if we had the platform last time when we were based in LA, if we had this streaming platform, I think we will be.
I think I don't know where I read it, but I know I read it off the net. Was more people actually watch gamers than play the game.
Twitch as a platform is one of the most stickiest, because my background is in advertising, so I learned about all these platforms. So among all of the platforms currently that is available, TikTok and all, the most stickiest platform is actually Twitch. Because someone who is a member of Twitch and is an active watcher of Twitch will watch close to about 3 to 4 hours a day.
So it's strange. They don't even play the game. They just watch you play the game.
So they're doing both.
So they do. So they learn from it.
So I mean, if you look at most people's setup, you're talking about people with computer setup with 2 or 3 monitors, right? One monitor will have the Twitch going on. One monitor has YouTube, and then the middle the monitor is then playing it. Or they have consoles, stuff like that.
Right.
So it's. I think one thing that people don't understand is that this aspect of second screening. So just because they're watching Twitch doesn't mean they're not doing anything else. The younger audience does 3-4 things at one time, most of the time, especially when they're online.
I am like mind blown already, and it's only been like what 10 minutes into our conversation. I'm mind blown already. Going to Syakir now. Syakir, you have recently been crowned 1v1 FIFA Global Series Season 2. Sorry, this is a long one. Season 2 qualifiers for South Asia. Can you share your experience with us, please?
Okay, so for us, we have these qualifiers every. There is 4 qualifiers for us to qualify for the main event that will be held overseas. So one of the qualifiers that I participated in, which was the last one, I won the event, and it was quite I would say one of the happiest weekends I had. I was playing very good FIFA at that point of time. My friends were all motivating me, like telling me you can do it. Okay, so from the first day there was this like so-called group stage. I managed to get out of the group stage with a record of 3 wins and 2 losses. So at that point of time, I was feeling okay. Maybe this qualifier, I should be able to do well enough to gain some more points to qualify for the event. And I woke up the next day, then I was like feeling like some days you just feel like okay, maybe this is your day. I don't know. Maybe
you dreamt about it. You dreamt how you know.
And then I went into a Discord with my teammate, and he told me this very funny thing that in Malay. He told me this thing in Malay. Shak, I had a dream that today you'll be winning the event. He told me exactly that when I first talked to him. Just like don't tell me all these things now. Before I focus on my game first. Then we talked about it after I won the event, and then we were laughing about it. But so he told me that. Then I was like, okay, man, maybe I should try and focus and try to really win this event. So I went into the first. I think the second day was it started with the round of 16. I won that game. Then the next one, the quarterfinals, was the most craziest game of FIFA I had. So I was down 3-0 at I think the first leg. About 70th minute, I was down 3-0 at the first leg. And I totally some games you
so
just.
This is a home and away.
Yeah, it's a home and away time. It's like a 2-legged game. You have to win. Yeah. in terms of aggregate. So I was down 3-0 at that point of time, and I was like, oh, no way I'm getting out of this. I was feeling a bit demotivated already at that point of time. But then, so during my games, usually Phil will message me on advices, like what to focus on, what to remember, like not to like continue playing and see whether you can get a goal back. Then slowly it will get there. So the second leg started, then I think I got an early goal, and then it kind of motivated me. Okay, maybe I can do this. Then suddenly I got another goal. Okay, then this is where I really had to push it. Then at the 85th minute, he managed to get a counter attack, and he was through on goal 1-on-1 with my keeper, and then I had no choice, so I just slide tackled him from behind, and I got a red card. And then it was penalty. Then I was like, oh shit, no, this is not happening. Okay, already the comeback is over. Then I saved that penalty.
You saved the
I saved the penalty, and I went 10 men with 2 more minutes to go, and that final attack I managed to score and equalize 3-3. And then in extra time, with 10 men, I somehow managed to get a goal and win the quarterfinal.
Bro, that guy must be. That guy must be. Yeah. Did he throw the controller?
God knows, yeah.
No, but like I can only imagine his thing. He's like, man, this fella tackled me, kena red card, then save my penalty, then he scored a goal again. Wow, bro, this is like fairy tale.
But in FIFA it happens, you never know.
But I think what's important, I just want to tell this story also, is that he has been in the other end of that situation. So this win, right, it's a long time coming. How many times have you gotten second?
Two or three, more than three.
He's basically the master of second places.
I'm the choke artist.
You're the silver specialist.
No more. That was
no more. Now you break the curse.
Hopefully this is the first of.
Interesting.
So the thing is, he has been, and there was one, and back then the stakes were a lot higher because I still remember this. This is I don't mind if I tell that story. So because I was very much involved in that story in the background. So what happened was that he was actually leading against one of the best Japanese players.
Okay.
I think he was 3-1, right?
3-1 with like I think 6 minutes to go.
3-1, 6 minutes to go. And when he was 3-1, 6 minutes to go, and I'll be very honest, right? Because the winner would have gone to Romania. Is it Romania?
Bucharest.
Bucharest. Yeah, Romania. So I was actually in the background messaging Phil. Shit, we gotta find tickets for Bucharest. I was like, dude, yo, how do you, what's the airport for Bucharest? I was like, we also had a conversation. Then I was watching at the same time, boom, 3-2. Oh no. And then 3-3. And then he lost in extra time. And then after that, we had to play another round. And then he lost. So he has been in that
the receiving end.
So to me, that
only
was
fated that he.
Yeah. So one thing about Shak, and I'll say this for someone who has seen him for the past 5 years, he's truly someone that is the epitome of don't give up. I think a lot of people in this position would have given up a long time already. Yeah. So for him to still come back almost every year, and this time finally, getting that far, having people like Balestier also giving him the support. Because I think this year, one thing that we did have, and I will probably say this a lot, is that people like Darwin, definitely has given us a lot of support, a lot more support than we've had in all the previous years that we have. I think that also has helped him a lot, getting into where he is. Yeah.
Big shout out to the Don, Darwin. So I just want to know, Syakir, how did you feel winning the tournament? Like you feel like you won?
It's like just one.
Did you go around hugging people? And
I think it was just like this big sigh of relief. Like after so long, like usually I've been getting second place for quite a long time, and to finally win something, it feels a lot. It means a lot to me. Like finally I get to taste that like gold.
That's good. Very, very interesting. Going to you, Yasser. Yeah, you mentioned that you were a manager of Phir message. Phir mentioned that you're a manager. So you have been in this space for a couple of years now, plus minus. What have you seen changed or maybe improved in the gaming sector? I know we touched a little about Twitch and streaming, but what do you see, like maybe more acceptance?
I think overall gaming in general as an industry is one of the biggest, highest growth when it comes to growth alone. Compared to any other sectors. During COVID itself, gaming itself grew, close to about 20 to 30% compared to any other industry. So I think there's a lot of money in the industry. whether it's through eSports, whether it's just to buying games, whether it's through, Twitch or streaming. There's a lot of money going along around this industry. We are starting to see that, though. There is a lot more. There's a lot more support. I am finally getting calls about sponsorships.
Oh, nice.
Those kind of calls that when me and Phir used to go through, like we never get anyone calling us back.
You used to do the cold calling, hey man, I'm playing a game, you wanna...
Yeah, so I think there is definitely a lot more acceptance. But I think in Singapore itself, I think there's still a ways to go, though. I always feel that I don't want to rest on our laurels saying that we are at the point where we don't have to improve. I think as an industry we need to improve, and I think also the gaming industry, the people who are esports professionals, there needs to be a lot of education with them also. This is a very, very unique I would say career path, and I think Phir will also touch that a lot, where your best years are really in like when you're in your early 20s.
Right.
It's not even like football. Football, you still got your 30s. No, you can try the Maldini, FAP defender, you got or you do Daniel Bennett, who's 40s still playing.
Daniel Bennett is still playing, by the way.
Exactly. So you can't do that. I think he's already starting to feel some of that. Where he's probably in his mid 20s and he's really starting to feel that.
So there is a lifespan.
Very short lifespan. I would say the lifespan is very short, and then the pressure that they have to go through at such a young age.
Correct.
It's not very easy to take. So I feel that more education around that, esports in general, about professionals, how to support them, I think it's extremely important. And then last but not least is the brands. I think brands need to understand that this is not a cash grab. You need to build together with the professionals, to build with the organizations, and you got to see the future. And you cannot just expect immediate ROI, which a lot of brands and marketers they're looking for, right? And I understand because I work in that space. But I think if you look at brands that have actually invested time, they've actually gotten the best of it. So brands like Red Bull,
Yes.
Red Bull's fantastic with gaming, and they don't expect ROI immediately, but yet they grow. I would say even Nike to a certain extent, have actually shown a lot of love, to the esports communities. So I think definitely there is brands that we can take along. I think there's still a lot of growth that needs to be made. But I am happy where we're at, though, because for me, being part of an industry that is always a hockey stick, I love to be that. Because when I was starting out my career, I was part of that whole social media growth. Because I was a social media manager before Facebook even was big.
So you were Friendster?
Friendster, yeah. Friendster was the first
Oh
one.
my god, I remember
Friendster,
getting testimonials and I don't want to...
MySpace,
oh my god.
So when Facebook hit that,
so embarrassing, the testimonials.
For me, I saw that growth. I saw how an industry literally exploded. And I think gaming is going through the same thing right now.
Fantastic.
Especially with Twitch and stuff like that. So
fantastic. Really, really looking forward. I hope you're right, man. Like more awareness and I think
that's
probably COVID as well,
I think one of the key things is that, now he's playing for national team. That's never going to happen.
Yeah.
That's probably the first time I've seen it happen before. Singapore representing technically a tournament that is actually recognized by FIFA. Not eSports, no. FIFA,
yeah. So actually, if you make it to the World Cup, Singapore actually made it.
Oh, you did? But then the World Cup got cancelled.
The World Cup got cancelled. Listen up. Syakir, my man, got chosen to represent Singapore for the World Cup and it got cancelled. I really pray that it comes back and you can represent Singapore and then fly the flag for us. Thank you, Yasser. Phir, this is for you, man. You mentioned 20 over years of experience since 94, playing with, I think it was cartridges. When you said you were playing when you were 4 years old and you're the older brother, I did the same thing when I was younger, but I had a younger cousin brother who used to come 4 or 5 years old, and he wanted to play games with me. I think I was playing Winning 11, FIFA and stuff. And then I used to unplug his
that's a typical trick.
Console, and I was telling him, you're playing, and then he's like so excited, and I'm the one just playing. And then, so when you told me the story, I was like, really got back to that. But besides the point, tell me why did you pursue gaming in general? I know you were good at it, but you could have done so many other things. But why did you pursue gaming?
I think I actually, a lot of people ask me this question. Why am I still involved in this industry after so many years? Yes, I've won lots of titles. I've traveled to so many countries. over the years. I've experienced that high life, that celebrity life,
The LA lifestyle.
Yep. It's not easy to live as a celebrity. You don't really get that privacy. But the main reason why I'm still involved in this is because of the friendship I've made over the years. Many people have asked me what is the most memorable thing which I remember. For me, it's just meeting people in basically all my competitors. Because for me, that I've took part in multiple international events. So I've met players from Mexico, from Spain, from UK. So up till this day, we are still in touch. And whenever I travel to Europe, I will make the effort, to meet them. And
Have one game or two.
Normally these days we don't really, we just like adults, we catch up about life, what are we doing, and this is something that I really treasure a lot, but at the same time, I feel that I've done so much, I've experienced so much, and before I really step out of the industry, what I really want to do is, at least see someone from the next group of people to actually do very well. It's a little bit hard now because of COVID and all that. So for Shark, he had the chance, but COVID restriction actually spoiled his plans a couple of times.
I'm going to ask him for his plans.
Yep. I mean, my only wish before I actually step out of this industry is to actually see him travel and compete overseas at least once. And when I mean overseas, I mean it's like an international event.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
because
so sweet.
for me, I've experienced it so many times. I want them to know what it's like, because it's totally different compared to competing in Singapore, even Malaysia. Yeah, because it's a whole new experience.
Crazy. And you were FIFA, ex-FIFA eSports pro player.
Yep.
How's that like?
Like I said, I think living the life of a pro player is not easy. For me, like I went through everything. I've suffered. I had burnouts. We had our downtimes. There were issues back in our team back then, where one of our players actually punched our GM on live TV.
Oh no.
Yep,
please take notes.
Yeah, so,
do not pressure any of your players.
Yeah, so like I said, I've experienced everything, and I'm blessed, but being a professional player is not easy. So people think it's all about playing games. For me, what I did was, like I said, I'm lucky because I did everything like what most professional soccer athletes or any other sports athletes would do. So I had to go for strict training. We had to be strict on our diet. We had to have enough rest.
Okay.
We attended yoga classes.
Okay.
We also had to study human behaviors.
Okay.
We also enrolled in this course called the NLP, which is the Neuro Linguistic Program.
Tell me about that.
Basically, it's how to train your mind to think positively and to be strong mentally.
Wow.
It's actually a very expensive course. But I was lucky back then, everything was paid for. So all this, with the knowledge I have, I actually try to groom the boys in the team now. So I try as much as I can to replicate how I was trained back then to these boys. Unfortunately, the generation now and generation back then is different. So there are certain things what my mentor taught us back then, which is not applicable, which can't be done now. I think last time, how my mentor Ruben and Prasad, shout out to them, how they actually train us. It's basically like military style. We have to go for boot camps, and back then I think they booked a chalet at Passt, downtown east, the old chalet. So basically we had boot camps there. So halfway we had to train in the morning, and we were forced to take a nap.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So it was a very strict lifestyle. Then after a 1 hour nap, even if you can't sleep, you should just shut up and just lie down and just close your eyes. Then you wake up, train, do some sports activities, have proper dinner, and and we had our mentor screaming and shouting at us all the time. It's good in a way. He actually challenged us, and how we train. We also had to prepare for loud environment because most competitions are in big arenas. It's very noisy. So I remember there were a few training sessions where we tried to replicate this whole environment. So we actually blasted some loud music in an enclosed area and tried
Just to simulate the.
Yep.
Oh my god.
So these were all the stress we actually went through, and then not too X-rated here, but basically there were models involved as well, where they actually had to sit in front of us.
To distract you guys.
They just sit in front of us, but I mean, as guys, when there are pretty girls, you will tend to look.
The eyes just like,
Yeah. So for us, we had to train our focus on this. We had to focus on the screen. Yeah. So these were some of the things which we actually did.
That's
back then.
amazing, man.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
That's the biggest misconception about gaming.
Yeah.
That when you think that it's actually easy,
Yeah.
it's like literally any other sport. Like you see footballers train day and night.
Okay, good. Staying on that topic, I'll ask you guys. Many people don't view eSports as an actual sport.
Yep.
Yeah, how do you respond to that? I know you're going to respond to that. How are you going to do it?
I say, I'll be very upfront. I'll say it straight in their face. It's bullshit.
It is
a real
actual
sport.
yeah.
It is a real
Yeah.
sport. I've seen it because, I always tell my guys also the same thing. Like what I've learned, at least in this 5-6 years, probably Fred has more experience than me, but I would say 50% of gaming is actually mental, just like sports.
Right.
Like how do you think Cristiano Ronaldo is the best player at this? Do you think it's all just physical?
No, it's all mental.
It's all mental. I would say 70-80% of his strength actually comes from the ability for him to want more than everyone else.
Correct.
And it's the same thing with esports. The best esports players, they do have talent, but in order for them to reach, I've seen so many extremely talented people not actually have the mental capacity to
And then they break down
and
and
they
then-
break down. And I think it's worse with esports because the pressure is higher and you're young. You're very, very young. Some of these footballers, for example, they get into that level when they're in their maybe mid-20s, where they're prime years. Of esports prime years is like 14. Now you're hearing that people like 16 years old being like the best FIFA player. The best FIFA player in the world, like, in my opinion, is only 14 years old, and this 14 or 15 years old. And I'm thinking, how is he? And he's so young, he can't even compete yet. So I'm thinking, how is he gonna even handle all of this when he can actually compete? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I think it's definitely a risk. I'm so happy that you're seeing SEA Games. You're seeing a lot of national sports taking esports seriously, having proper tournaments that are actually now recognized by real
Probably
bodies.
Olympics as well. They might
Definitely.
they might bring in the whole thing. Sorry.
So basically, like Yas was saying, it's basically a mental thing. For me, I think people are curious how I actually coach Shak. So for me, because as a player, when he's too focused on the game, there are things which he doesn't see on what's going on in the virtual pitch.
Okay.
And that is where something I will try to analyze while he's playing. And also the main focus for me, in terms of skill-wise, definitely Shak is much better than me. So I can't train him in terms of the skills in game. What I can train him or help him with is basically the mental aspects of the game, how to think. And I've been a player myself, so I can roughly, like I mentioned earlier, how we study human behaviors. I can actually know how the players are going to react after they concede 1 or 2 goals. How are they going to react if they score 1 or 2 goals? So this is something where I always remind him, hey, your opponent, if you score 1 goal, your opponent is going to panic.
Okay.
And when you panic, you're going to leave gaps in your defense because you can't focus.
Yeah.
And this is also one important thing which my mentor taught me, saying that do whatever it takes to win as long as you don't break the rules. If you need to frustrate your opponent, because the fact that is you are so focused on the game that when you get frustrated, that is where you will make mistakes.
Correct. You lose your focus.
Yep. And it's his job to take advantage of that. Yep. So I'm always constantly on the lookout for that. And halfway because of COVID, it's difficult now because I have to live stream over text.
Okay.
Yep. So this is one of the ways how I actually manage him. And the good thing is he listens.
Yeah, that's the key part.
Yeah.
He listens. The super most important thing is that he listens.
Man, Syakir, you are one of the best talents Singapore has now, man. Just let me tell you that. What are your plans from here? What do you intend to do?
I would say like how Yas said, like the peak period during for esports, I would say it's a younger lifespan than the footballers lifespan. So I'm currently now at my 20s, I'm 26 years old already. So I think that is.
I'm
I think if you,
Still young, man.
I mean,
Come
you're
on.
still young.
Yes, he's close to 40, man.
Yeah, you're still young, but if you're in the eSports industry, eSports lifespan is considered we are at the like the peak period already.
Do you get angry if like a 14-year-old guy like beat you in FIFA?
No, I wouldn't get angry because I know that their reaction is just too fast for me. Like there are some younger people you meet, like wow, their reaction is just too fast for you. But the difference is the experience, I would say. But yeah, like I was saying, like for now I'm 26 years old, so we are getting to the later part of our career. So what I would say now is just I'm trying to do as best as I can, like especially now I'm getting to represent my country in like the World Cup and SEA Games. So this is where I really want to take the opportunity to really represent Singapore properly, and hopefully we can get a medal or something.
Not hopefully, we will get a medal, man, with you, man. No pressure, yeah?
So yeah, so apart from that, so I would say like I just want to continue winning. Like at the start of my career, I would say it was quite a bit of a rocky start. So now is where I started to win more and more, and hopefully that like continues until the point where I stop playing.
Do you intend to coach as well after you?
Yeah, I would say like I think I have like, because now sometimes when my teammate plays, I tend to watch their games and give advice also. So from there I like try to do my best to like guide them as much as I can.
He can take over me.
So maybe in the future, who knows? Like the younger Singaporean.
Everybody just take a step up.
So I think it's important that it's good that he has this kind of thing, because a lot of people sometimes don't have like that. I think what Fear has, which is the importance of giving back, and now start wanting to do that. I think that will help us continuously build the next generation of esports, whether it's FIFA, whether it's anything else. I think that's pretty important.
I think to add on to that, the major obstacle for this as a player, which he will probably go through it soon, is acceptance. For me as a player personally, when at that age where you know that your reaction cannot make it real,
You have to acknowledge it.
yeah, it's very hard because of your own ego. You can be the most humble person on earth, but when that happens to you, it will hit you hard. Like I can't perform as well as before. You will start to get frustrated, which he will eventually go through it. Is how he deals with it, and after that, maybe after a while, that was after he accepts it, that is where probably he can start thinking about coaching.
Interesting. Shak, any other games you play other than FIFA, or you just play FIFA?
I play a lot of like first-person shooter games. I think actually
like Counter-Strike and all this.
Counter-Strike, Valorant, Apex Legends.
Yeah,
so these kind of
How
games.
about Fortnite?
I used to play, but now I don't play anymore.
Everybody is playing Fortnite now, yeah? No?
But actually, these type of games actually help. Like people think it's like two different genres. Like one is sports, one is FPS. But some of it, like the reactions you get from playing these kind of games, it actually helps you in FIFA also. Yeah, because you have to like really react pretty quick on these type of games, and sometimes it improves.
You can use the skills from like other games. Yeah, makes sense. Do you play any?
Basically, reaction time is important for me back then. So the other two games were
Street Fighter.
Because we play FIFA. No, it wasn't Street Fighter. Because the rest of my teammates were CS players.
Oh, Counter-Strike.
So we do play CS once in a while. The main game that we will always play last time was Auto Jam, which is now if you a game similar to that on the iPhone will be Tap Tap Revenge. That musical notes, So it's basically to train our reaction time.
Ultra fast on it. Okay, makes sense now. Okay. So anybody who wants to train, on FIFA and stuff like that, Tap Tap is your game. You can train on Tap Tap, not Guitar Hero. Okay. No, we're just running out of time right now. We have, I got a couple of questions for you guys. Okay. Fir, what is your most memorable gaming experience? One memorable gaming experience.
Too many cannot choose.
Top one.
I've probably taken part in 100 over events.
That one that stands out when I ask you the question, the first thought that came in your mind.
Probably the one in Korea, South Korea. That was the Asian Championship. I think most people expect me to say the World Championship, so I actually got third.
Okay. Which is great.
Which is great, yeah. That was in LA, so that was the cool high life. But I think it was in Korea. That's the most memorable experience, because to beat a Korean player in their home country is one of the hardest thing to do, and I actually did that along the way. I didn't win the whole event. I got second. The first prize was a car though.
What, Hyundai car?
Yeah, it was a Hyundai event.
I mean,
yeah. So, but in the semi-finals, I actually beat one Korean guy in his hometown in Busan. Unfortunately, I lost to another Korean in the finals. No, but why was it memorable? Because first of all, the event was by the beach.
Oh, nice.
Yep. It was a live TV event, and you know Korea when it comes to gaming, everything is live. We had K-pop stars gracing the event as well.
Right.
And why was it memorable? Because I think I earned the respect of Korean citizens.
Wow.
Korean,
the audience there.
Yeah, the audience there. Because the next day, because normally after our tournament we have our own R&R time, to tour around the city. So when I went back to Seoul, when I went to one of the shopping malls, like most of the store owners actually recognized who I was.
Right.
And they were like asking, can I have your autograph?
Wow.
Can we take a picture with you? Then they will say, you want to buy from my shop, I'll give you discount. So I think I was really touched, and you know how polite Korean people are.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah, and that was really the highlight of my career.
Interesting. Syakir, what is your gaming experience?
I'll probably say it was one of the first few trips I had with the OE team. It was to this event in KL. Okay. So I think we met up with some of our overseas teammates.
I had players from Malaysia and Indonesia.
Right.
Malaysia and Indonesia. So we got invited to this tournament. So the Indonesian players and the Malaysian players were invited to this tournament. So I would say that tournament was especially memorable for me because we sort of bonded together as a team. Okay. And that was one of the first few times where I really thought like this is not like just a individual game you are playing. Like this is not, you are playing yourself individually, but what matters also is the team support that you're getting. So like we played on this LAN event, so it was this huge stage with a lot of cameras, and it was, I think, filmed to live.
It was live on EGG network.
So
he went all the way to the final.
So which I eventually lost.
It's okay, man.
It was
win all the time, bro.
Yeah, it was a trip to Germany, I would say.
Okay.
So I lost that game, but it doesn't matter because the more support that I got from like the whole
experience
team,
itself.
the experience itself. So like against the like it was played in Malaysia, so it was against the quite a huge like rowdy crowd,
Malaysian crowd.
I would say. But it was the team support that kind of made it memorable for me.
Fantastic. Yasser, do you have any gaming experience you want to share?
Not the same as them, I guess. But that event was one of my first real big event that I went to, and that also solidified, because I remember the event very clearly because my cousins and friends from KL, they came in, and all of them, when they started watching on 8, they couldn't stop watching.
Okay.
They said that I never knew watching FIFA would be so exciting. And I think that also solidified my vision, my wanting to support and wanting to help, people like Fair, people like Shark and the rest of the team, to get more of that acceptance. So definitely that event would be a highlight. But I think another one, it's virtual, but I think the one where we talked about just now, where he was so close, I think that was memorable, maybe not for the right reasons, but still memorable. And I was still very proud of him, because I think many people wouldn't expect him to get that far also. So I think Shark has made to a point where he used to be the underdog. Now he's no longer the underdog already. So I think at that event, at that event, he really because
no pun intended. That's just
because those events back in the day, right, were really difficult though, because we were up against really good Japanese players, and he made a name out of beating Japanese players. Which I think is really amazing, which is not very easy.
Should have called you the samurai or something.
So and he's still doing that up to now, if I'm being honest. So but I think that really solidified him, for us. And just one last one. Sorry, when I think one of the biggest moments for me was when after that, I think last year he got invited to the main qualifiers when he got third, and that was actually broadcasted to thousands of people on the EA Twitch stream. So that was the first time people saw the FTRD logo, so the My Management Team logo, and I've never seen that. And it was quite insane. Firstly him wearing the jersey in front of thousands of people, then having all the the logos where FTRD Kun versus this and all, and that was fun. That was also, I guess,
sense of like proud moment.
Like, it's kind of like, okay, like I'm like at that point in time, bootstrap. No, we don't have any investor money coming in, and I managed to kind of at least bring up someone, into the spotlight. We've really just, hard work and strapping down and doing what's needed. So, and I think that win helped us get enough notoriety to even have conversations with people like Darwin, so that we can now represent Balestier, because that was my eventual goal.
You know what's insane? Now you probably flying the Balestier flag, and everybody is like, overseas, they're like, Balestier, what is this?
Do you know Balestier is actually like in the top 10?
Yeah, I know. I'm not kidding you. I know.
In all of the Southeast Asia.
I was actually blown away when I saw the ESPL. I was like, wait a minute, there is a ESPL. I was like blown away. I was like, so crazy, right? That the space is growing and growing. So going back to Phir. What would you like to see in the eSports space in the coming future? What would you like to see happen for not only for your team, just for the industry as a whole?
I think I would touch more on the industry as a whole. I think first of all, there needs to be more education about esports in Singapore. There are still lots of people out there who don't really know how esports works. What is it about? They think it's just all games. You have to educate parents as well, the older generation, because I'm sure they still don't see the value of gaming. They don't really know the prize money. And just to let you know, the biggest tournament in the world for Dota, the prize pool was actually 40+ million USD. Yeah, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, life changing. You win that tournament.
So it can be really huge, and at the same once we educate all these people, that is where we'll start to see more brands. Because when I mention about educating, not only that, we also have to educate people in the marketing part of the industry, where they know what esports is about. Because I think we have dealt with a few marketing people, when you want to talk about esports, they have no clue what this is, and that is where a lot of teams in Singapore actually lose out.
Lack of awareness.
Yes. Yep. The other thing is actually for the community, for the gaming organisers in Singapore to actually work hand in hand. This is something which I rarely see in Singapore. To them it's always about fighting for their own profit. This is something I don't see in Korea. Why esports is so big in Korea and some parts of Europe? Because organisers will work together. They want to grow esports together. This is still lacking in Singapore. But like I said, I think it all starts with educating all these people. And esports will definitely grow. Like I mentioned earlier, technology is growing. It's probably going to continue growing for the next decade.
Now we are 5G. Next thing you know, we're 6G, 7G. And then instead of playing consoles, I think you can really kick the ball virtually or something.
So who knows? Gaming will definitely grow bigger and bigger. And also shout out to Darwin, for actually believing in us, for giving us this opportunity to showcase, and at the same time we are also trying to help educate other people, like our viewers, our supporters on Instagram, because I'm sure there are followers on our Instagram who don't really know what esports is about.
Correct.
And me and Jas, we are trying to discuss how we can actually educate these people, to share with them what esports is about.
100%. I think they can certainly watch this podcast and they kind of have a rough idea what's happening already. Syakir, for you, so what support do you think you need, like in your future tournaments or something like that? Do you need any, this is the best time to say you can get anything you want to say here, man. I want you to listen. What I need
to have proper rest.
I want everybody to stop calling me from 8 p.m. onwards. I need to sleep. I'm just kidding. So what do you need, like support wise?
I would say like if we compare the esports industry in Singapore compared to those in Europe, you can still see quite a big gap, I would say. Yeah, so the way also not in terms of also in terms of the skill level, you can see what the difference between like someone in our Southeast Asia region compared to the Europe region is also quite a big gap. Probably because the lack of support, I would say, in this Asia region. Like the less support you're given, the less like people are more motivated to play the game, to become pro at this. So that's why you see like less talent coming out of the Southeast Asia region, and so much more in the Europe region, which is why I would say like maybe like in the future I just hope that there are more teams and organizations like how Balestier are doing, like to show the light into this esports industry. And maybe like we can start to like those young kids who like didn't know like they are maybe good at FIFA or any other esports, like they see themselves like maybe doing a career of this, like when they didn't thought it was possible. Like they thought like only in Europe like you can become a full-time gamer or something. So that's why I hope like in the future more organizations start to trust our youth talents, and hopefully they can eventually the gap between the Asia region to the Europe region slightly reduce, and then we can start to see more talents coming up in Singapore. Yeah.
Fantastic, well said. Yes or no question, yeah? Do you think esports or gaming should be taught in schools? Yes or no? You're gonna set a statement here today, you're gonna be like
I would say maybe they should be taught on just a basic knowledge on how it works. But as a course, I would say maybe it's a bit of a difference towards like.
Imagine going to a polytechnic and then you just learn gaming as a whole.
No,
I saw there was an article. Yeah, Japan.
I think in Toronto as well. Toronto,
they
they're
I
having.
think it should be taken like a CCA, right?
Yeah.
Why can't we have a CCA? I mean, the thing is,
CCA,
another thing is like you see, like all of us, like me included, and also Shaq, we all have jobs. Like we all have our other lives, right? And I think gaming, because of it being such a short, window, though it's important to educate esports professionals to also have that second career in place. Like how footballers, when they reach their 40s, they start thinking about broadcasting or businesses and all, right? I think he has done really well though, because I think throughout his career, he has never once, let out on his goals as outside of FIFA, outside of esports, right? So he's now already starting out his own, career and career path, basically in his specialty. So I think that's actually important. I think a lot of people think that, you got to quit everything and then just spend all the time. It's not realistic. Let's be real though. I mean, that's not how it's going to be like. So you need to definitely learn how to juggle two jobs technically.
Right.
Time management is important.
Time management. It's not impossible. All of our guys technically have jobs. None of us are actually full time. We've not reached to that level where. And I don't think it's also. I've told people also. I wouldn't totally ask people to just let go of everything.
Right.
You need to work hard. But that doesn't mean you can only just do one thing, right? I always believe in side hustles. If you can find
100%,
something that you can make money with, right?
Right.
Like he can make decent income just by playing FIFA.
Yeah.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
And you like doing it.
Yeah, it's like
So it's a win-win situation,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
Okay, just to round off, hey man, guys, I just want to say, really an eye-opener today. What you guys spoke about, real life stories. I think we should come back for part 2, man. We should come back for part 2 probably in the near future. Nevertheless, I just want to round off with starting from Yasser, and then we move on right till to Phir. Any advice to the avid gamers listening in today, the podcast? What is maybe you can just give a summary of your advice to them?
I'm saying this based on my experiences with the people that I've seen through and all. I think what I've realized is that you have to work hard. It's not an easy field to get into. I don't. People like to think that, oh, I just play games. It's no longer playing a game. It's actually it's about being the best at a certain craft.
Right.
That's how I look at it. So you got to work hard, right? You work hard. You put the time in. There's one thing now. You have so much resources. Go on YouTube. There's a lot of things that you can learn from there. Stuff like that. And then try your hands out in actually local tournaments whenever there is. Someone will start to notice you, and when someone does notice you, make sure you learn. A lot of pros I find they think they know everything at such a young age.
Right.
No, you don't. I can guarantee you might be very good at what you do, but it's also very easy to burn out. It's very easy to be at the highs and then automatically be at the low, but not recover from that low.
Right.
Seen so many, even in Singapore, where they've hit the low, they can never recover. So I think Shark is one of the really great examples of highs, lows, but there's consistency. So I think that's also, so never give up, work hard, do what you can to get yourself noticed. And when you get noticed, make sure you listen to the advice that's given.
That's what's going on. Yeah.
And I guarantee you that you will do well. Yeah.
I think Syakir is a living example of that.
Exactly, definitely.
Being consistent, being listening and stuff like that. Syakir, what about you? Any advice to the listeners out there? Maybe how something you want to say?
The main thing for me, I would say, is like to always stay humble. If you are always humble, no matter where you go, it will always help you in life. If you don't take in advice, you don't if somebody you lost to someone that is better than you, you have to accept that he is better than you, and you have to just learn from him. Learn from what are the mistakes that you made. You can't blame the game, or this game makes me it's why I lost. You can't always put the blame on someone else. You have to take the blame for yourself also, and that's where you really learn and improve yourself as a player also. And to the younger to those who are aspiring to be a pro, I would say it takes a lot of dedication and time also, and you can never in the process of doing this, you can never give up. Even if you feel this probably the bottom line that you can go, you can never give up also at that point of time, because the only way to improve is just to continue to accept defeat and just willing to grow from there, I would say. So my advice to them is just to always believe in yourself and hope that you get someone, eventually someone will start to notice you, and that's where you will finally see yourself blossom. Yeah.
Hopefully you're the one noticing the people in the near future. Phir, what about you, man? What do you have for the listeners out there?
Besides what they said, I think for me, the most important thing, for all these upcoming gamers, you must always know how to manage your emotions.
Yep.
Because a lot of gamers out there, up till today, they don't really know how to manage their emotions. It's basically an industry where you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get angry, you're going to experience heartbreak, you're going to have the happiest moment in your life. You're going to go through all this. But it's how you manage your emotions. Because sometimes you may say the wrong things on social media when you're angry, and you don't want to do that because you will look bad.
100%.
Yep. The other one for me is, for those who are studying, my advice to you, never ever forget your studies.
Wow, amazing.
This is a key
That's good.
thing in your life, because whatever you learn in school, you can use that, and it applies with eSports as well. It's basically the knowledge as well, the thinking process. The last point will probably be support. Why this is very, very important, because if all these gamers, if you have friends or you know anyone, you have any family members, cousins, friends, families who are into gaming and they want to be a competitive player,
Right.
do support them, because support is very, very important. For me personally, that I'm very, very lucky. My friends and my family members were my pillars back then. Yep. And basically, they were, even when I was down, they supported me all the way up till today, and that is something I'm very, very thankful for. And that's why, for those listeners, always remember to give your support to your friends and families.
Amazing. Yeah, I think talking about support, family and friend support is absolutely vital to anything you do. They are your pillars. With that being said, I thank you guys. Thank you, Yasser, Syakir, Phir, for joining me today. on this episode of Balestier X Back Pass, or Back Pass X Balestier. You know, it's always the back and forth. So just to recap, Balestier playing their home game this Saturday, 5:30 p.m. at Toa Payoh Stadium against Tanjong Pagar United. I think Tanjong Pagar United, for a strange reason, they are sitting on the top of the league. Hopefully we can knock them out of the perch, yeah, hopefully. And I thank you guys so much for joining me again, and I look forward to maybe a part 2 with you guys. All right, thank you, and have a good evening.